Hi everyone. So we left on the where we left. Let me remember. We were discussing how to go ahead with the cases. This is a guesstimate session. So we will be going ahead with the guesstimate, like how to approach the guesstimates. So I'll be telling you a few of the things which we need to do in the guesstimates. So let's uh, start it. Wait for it. Let me open a new notebook. New notes. Hmm. Guess. Uh, Guesstimate with Akash. Hmm. So we will be following tracking the PM interview notebook, where we will be seeing like a proper process how to approach the guesstimate questions. I'll be sharing from the class insights also, where we learned how to do guesstimates and everything. And let's go ahead and start with it. Hmm. So I'm sharing my screen. So okay, so we'll be going through this problem. So don't worry if you are completely new to the guesstimate problems. It's completely fine. Where I kept my pen. Okay, I won't be writing on pen. Okay, so we are following this book, cracking the PM interview, and we are in the question three. I'll be taking into account that you are completely beginner, and we will be going ahead. Okay, so let's do it. How many police officers are there in the US? So suppose an interviewer asks you how many police officers are in the US or India or anywhere. So as we talked in the previous question, whatever kind of question is there, whether it's a case based question, whether it's a product based question, whether it's a guesstimate question, first of all you need to clarify from the interviewer that what whatever doubts you have, you don't necessarily go into the problem solving at once. First of all, ask the interviewer relevant questions which are logical. So suppose I have this OnePlus earphones. Suppose they ask me what kind of how many earphones are being sold. So I'll be asking, sir, whether I should take a certain price range, or what kind of customers we are tackling here, like whether they are kids, teenagers, young adults, or it's for elder people also. So these kind of questions which are very obvious to our mind and that had not been specified by the interviewer is very important to tackle, to ask. Okay. So how many police customers are there in the US? So first of all, clarifying the question is step one. So let's I'll be following this book. Along with that, I'll you be using my own mind. So there is no proper, like there is a structure to it, but there is no proper like technique to tackle these kind of questions. Okay, like sorry for that, but like you shouldn't be thinking like that. You have to say only these particular words. You have to say ask only these particular questions. So the question can be the questions to be asked should be of importance to you, up to utmost importance to you. You should be able to clarify whatever doubts you have in the mind. Okay, so let's go ahead with clarify the question. Okay, so what we'll be doing in this clarifying the questions, let me mute my phone. Hmm. Clarifying the question. The question is, how many police officers are there in the US? So I'll be like, can you tell me about can you tell me about the police officers which we are considering. Tell me about the so for example, well, are we calculating? Are we including the retired officers to? Are we going ahead with trainee officers too? So are we going ahead? Are we considering whether the officers? What more questions we can ask? So, like, people will be younger in the training and the officers. So, are we considering whether the officers are in certain institutes? Like, uh, government institutes have police officers too, right? Like, you will see some police officers are assigned to government of offices too. Plus, are we considering? Are we considering the police officers in the in the desk job too? Desk job. So be very mindful that you don't have to interview the interviewer. Okay, these are the questions I'm writing down, but you have to ask it in a way so that it's a kind of two-way communication. Okay, we are communicating. Like, you can ask in a way that, so I want to clarify a bit. I have some doubts over on the question, and I want to clarify the questions. Why can if you can help me as with that. So if he says something like, yeah, please go ahead. So, sir, I have following few questions. I have four questions, and please let me know if I need to think all by myself, or I need or or you need to give me the answers. Okay. So the first few questions are, sir, can you tell me about the police officers which we are considering here? Like, are we considering the retired officers? Are we considering the training officers too? Or are we considering the police officers which are on duty and which are uh, in certain institutions, or which are on desk job? So, can you please clarify on that? So, he either he will be saying, what do you think, what do you like? If he says something like this, then he wants you to ask, like, he wants you to think and assume certain things which are logical by yourself. And suppose he says that, let's go with all the police officers in US. Okay, all kind of police officers. Then what will be doing ahead? So what here they did, the main thing is that is who exactly we are counting as police officers. College campuses, for example, often have their own police officers. There are some over whether we are considering to who are desk jobs. Let's assume that. So here in this case, we'll following this case because this is a uh, uh, great book, and it has these are the real scenarios in which real answers were given. So we'll be considering the flow with this book. Okay, let's assume that we are referring to all the police officers, including university police officers, whether they work at a desk job or patrol. So we are not discriminating at all. And of course, this was interviewer guess this answer. And so now the second is to catalog what you know. Like, you took the answers in the previous questions, and plus there should be some factual things which you should know, like about the population of entire US. Okay, and like, more densely populated have more like yeah. So let's first solve it by ourselves, then we will come to yeah again. So So, I'll be thinking about few things. Let's catalog what you should know or what wish you know. So, mm, what I wish I knew, I'll wish population of US, population of US, or whatever country we are considering. So because that will tell me to, so this is a top down approach. There are two types of approach when solving a guesstimate or any problem. You have to, we have to, uh, there is a top down, like when where we ask about entire population and then go ahead, or we go from bottom up, like where we select a particular unit and go then go ahead towards the population phase. Okay, so I wish I knew population. So what other things I need to calculate the police officers. So population of US is one thing. How many individuals are there? How many young adults are there? Like we won't be considering kids, right? So that how many young? So it should be an estimate. So these are the things I wish I knew. Okay. So other things which I can learn, like area density. Area density, like more denser area will have more people. Okay, like more police officers. So area density is one of the thing. Apart from that, if you remove the area density, what other things I need to know? So let's think about it. So I will need the population of US, then area density, then mm, yeah, a typical assumption that how many police officers, how many police officers are needed to handle a certain number of people. Like this means that as we know that there in India, on around uh, there is one doctor for every 1 lakh or 10,000 patients. So that's a very huge difference. Similarly, to handle around 100 people, one officer is needed. So this is the estimate, guesstimate we can take. Like this is not something which you have read already somewhere or something like that. But we will be thinking like if this is helpful, then we can what we can do is like we can just divide it by the population, and we will be getting a realistic number. Okay, so this is all I can think of now. Let's see what the book says. There are 300 million people in the US. More densely have more. There must be police officers working day all night. Police officer will do so in pairs. Okay. Okay, we might little know how much crime is there annually per capita. So we see we missed here on the crime part. How many police officers work a desk job? So we need to think from all the aspects, like how many, like how a police officer is involved. How many police officer works a desk job related to those on the street? How many police officers do you need per person? Yes, work desk job related to those on the street. How many police officers do you need per? See, he also took one of the aspects what I took. How many police are needed to handle a certain number of people? Uh, so these are the things we might know. So I'll be including this police officers working, police officer patrol to so in there. Okay, so you can include at least have 4 5 points. I see I took 4 points. Five is an ideal one. Take 5 6 points because you need to have proper data to handle these kind of questions. Okay, so what the book says, the last of these in particular would be very nice. One way to get a ballpark estimate for the number of police officers needed is to use a specific example, a small town, for example, that we know that of work from there. Another way might be asked to what percent of people employed could be police officer. For example, it's unlikely that 1% of US holds a job as a police officer. These are the assumptions. So, okay, let's. The third most important question is the most important part is after you clarify and you need to ask the interviewer. Like, see, When I'm doing these steps, I'm talking to you at the same time. In the same way, you need to ask, like, talk to interviewer. You need to let them know that population of, like, you are checking the, these are your informations, you are considering population of US, and you are thinking how many young adults are there, area density, how many police officers are needed to handle a certain number of people. Okay, let's go ahead with making an equation. So this is the most important part, because on the basis of this you will be doing the calculation. Okay, make an equation. So let's make an equation. So total US, total officers in US will be total US population into percentage of police officers needed on one person. So I believe I took all the data I could think of, I was able to think about. But let's do something. A total officer in US. So let's see what equation did they make. Okay, on the basis of the information they had. So it said one possible equation is something like this: population of the US uh, divide by percentage of people per patrolling police officer into percentage of per patrolling officer. Total police officers. Uh, okay, what he did, population of the US. Okay, it's not very much clear by the book, so we have our own GPT, right? We'll be going to GPT, Gemini. Explain this. Let's see. Population of the US percentage calculates the number of patrolling officers needed to serve the entire Okay, so this is our equation which we did. So he's dividing. We are just taking percentage. Uh, Ratio of people served by each officer. So this, the first part of the expression, he did what we did by dividing the accounting for all police personnel. Second part, personnel per patrol, is a multiplied account for all the police personnel, not just those on patrol. Okay, this was the patrol part. Okay, the ratio in a detective between the supervisor and the staff is the number of police officers greater than the number of patrol. The ratio will be greater than one. So he's taking for the total for patrolling officers. So is taking account whether how about the ratio about how many people, how many police officers are in the patrolling area and how many police officers are in institutions on desk jobs. So he's taking a ratio of that. So that's also a very good way to extend this part. Okay, now that we have made an equation, so we will going ahead with our equation, but we are following this. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Step 4. We will be going ahead. Think about edge cases and sources. Okay. What could be the edge cases now? Like, uh, where should we stop? Edge cases are something which should be considered. Like, suppose I have. Like, for the edge cases, what I can explain you, suppose I have a website. Okay, I have created a login page, and I have checked whether if someone enters his phone number, uh, it should be his its OTP should be generated. So suppose someone enters 11 digit, 12 digit, 20 digit phone number, what will happen? The system will be like never be sending OTP. Even the users can't know that, like, what errors they are making. So for that, you most of the time you will be seeing that when you enter more than 10 digit number, it doesn't take it, or it gives you warnings that. So these are the edge cases. So edge cases are the cases which go beyond the normal logical thinking. Okay, so what can be the edge cases here? So let's go ahead with what he is taking so that we are on the same page. Others and rule them out. We'll have to think about how higher crimes versus lower will affect the police officers count. Area density was a edge case, good edge case. Okay, so let's higher crime versus lower crime plus area density. Higher crime versus people per a few ways. So now comes how to solve things. The equation you created. So the equation we created, total US population, percentage of police officer needed from 1%. How to solve this part particularly? Okay. So I read an article. So see, he's stating he read an article in a where had about 2,000 students and 4 police officers, which had schools, however, and in a minimal staff to guard an even larger school might have a small town would need a okay. So he's going bottom up approach. Like he's considering small areas, then going to cities, then going to towns. So this is a bottom up approach. We can also do similarly in our future things. So let's let's go ahead. Uh, that how many? Let's solve it on the basis of review and state your assumptions. I'm including fifth, sixth step in this only. Review and state your assumptions. So assumptions: a school needs, I think, two, three officers. It differs for college. It differs for college. We have around four, five officers. So I'll assume that since police officers do night duty officers, so I'll assume that there are very few police officers on a particular like on each person. So I'll say let's assume that on 1,000 people we have 10 police officers. Let's see what he took. So at most police officers at most I can that one out of every 200 men are police officers. So out this would mean about one out of every 400. There were more teachers than police, or there must be at least one teacher for every school, roughly. So now, now we goes ahead with he is going ahead with. I could imagine that one out of so what he is doing, he is imagining that 200 men are police officers. So this would mean about one out of every 400 person is a police officer. Okay, how this come? Because most police officers are male, so 200 men are there, so 200 women will be also there. So out of 400 people, one is a police officer. Okay, so roughly 1/8 of the US is between those is so that so we need to check. Hmm. So now we do the maths. So what the maths part he has done is he has put all the answers. So 300 million people divide by 500 people per patrolling. So 400. We can probably take a guess a number from there. Two officers per patrolling. Now with the sanity check is a very important thing. Sanity check means that we need to check whether our correct answers came correct or not. So here the answer was 1.2 million, and there were about 861,000 police officers in that time in 2006. So basically, he came up with the right answer, around the right answer. So that's all for today. Though we struggled a bit, I struggled a bit in the end, but I believe that you gained some insights from it. Let's solve another thing in the next chat. Yeah.